Hi everyone, Vanessa here, alcoholic. My sobriety date's October 8th, 2017. Today I want to talk to you about James Finley's concept of the groundless jump and something that I have learned from Mystical Sobriety, the course led by James Finley, who, if you are not familiar, is from the Center of Action and Contemplation, which was founded by also Richard Rohr. And if none of these names make sense to you, it's okay. You're still able to get something from this. So I want to share it with you though, because it's been in my mind, in my meditation ever since I learned it, and it's just so good. I want to share this with you. It is part of a transcription from one of the courses. So I do want to give full credit to James Finley. And he basically talks about his doctoral work and how he studied all these different studies and how he's able to relate them back into the third step, which is of Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps, which is that we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God. And this is a crucial step in the step work, which I think a lot of people take for granted, because step one is admitting to ourselves that we would have a problem. Step two is being willing to concede that maybe that there's something bigger than us. And then step three is giving our lives and our care over to that greater power. And it's a very gradual process, truly entrusting this greater power, I call it God, um, to know that is our catch-all. That is from moving on forward, whether I make the right decision or the wrong one, I'm always going to be caught by this power that is loving, that is not judgmental, that only wants the best for me, that only wants me to experience the things that will help me grow, that will always have me protected, that will always have me being okay at the core of my being, regardless of my external circumstances, right? And it is very thoughtfully placed before the fourth step, which is when we make that fearless and searching inventory of our resentments, of our sex inventory, of the ways that we have felt wronged or slighted by principles, institutions, and people. And that's a deep dive, because in the fourth step inventory, we're looking at everything that has shaped our worldview and how we exist and operate on this planet. And I needed to know that I was going to be okay if I paused to even look at any of that stuff. And so being able to ground myself in the third step was extremely important and necessary. And I got through my fourth step when I was able to really relinquish all control of my life. And that doesn't mean to be passive, by the way. It just means to have this underlying knowing and belief and faith that things will still be okay, even if they don't turn out the way that I think that they need to turn out, which letting go of control in that way is very difficult for the addict and alcoholic. And it was for me. So another thing I wanted to point out that the third step always really emphasized to me, I guess it's more the second step too, is that God is either everything or God is nothing. God either created everything and is in everything, or God does not exist at all. And so I had to really first evaluate what I think a God can create and not create. And part of the practice that I always ask my sponsees to do is to consider their lives for 3 days with absolutely no God. Completely eradicate the thought or the belief or the faith that a God exists. Live your life as if there is no God. Everything that you struggle against, everything that you love, everything that you believe in, remove any spiritual or creation or God or bigger purpose meaning from it. Like, just strip your life of any faith related to God or any loving power that exists in the world, and see how that feels. Does that resonate as true for you? And it might resonate true for some people. It does not resonate as true for me. I happen to feel with a certainty that is in my blood, my iron deficient blood, that that is a false narrative, that is not correct. that there is much more to this world than my little eyes can see and that my little hands can touch and feel. I know that there is a whole other world that exists here on this earth with me that I'm not able to perceive through my human five senses, because I know that it is grounded and ruled in this greater spiritual dimension, realm, meaning, purpose, spirituality, existence that requires spiritual eyes to experience in a way. And that is only the only prerequisite for that is a willingness to experience it. And that is what we do with the third step, is we're willing to experience it by relinquishing all control of our lives in a lot of ways, and our preconceptions or expectations of what our lives should look like, because now we're believing that God really has our back, right? So that being said, I want to share this with you about the groundless jump. So, there was a study on anxiety levels in paratroopers, which was done for a military training, and the researcher hooked up an instrument to the paratroopers. It had a clock in it, and it would measure changes in anxiety levels like breathing rate, heart rate, kinetic skin response, different things. So, he or she can get correlations between changes in anxiety and what was happening. So, the results of the test for the first time jumpers, when the command was given to get into the plane, the anxiety went up. When the announcement was made that they were approaching the jump site, the anxiety got higher. And when they opened the door of the plane, the anxiety got higher. And just before they jumped, acute anxiety. Now, the old time jumpers, those had jumped over and over again. The command to get into the plane, no anxiety. Approaching the jump site, no anxiety. Opening the plane door, no anxiety. And as they stood just ready to jump, no anxiety. But just before they hit the ground, the anxiety would go up. And why? Because they knew by experience you never get hurt jumping out of the plane ever. It's the damn ground you have to watch out for. So the new people, they don't know this yet. So those who jump and they go all the time, they go up on weekends, they hold hands, they flip around, they have fun while they do it. Why ruin a good thing, a good experience? And so the question here is, what is life but a groundless jump, right? If life is a groundless jump, then fear would be groundless. And how do you discover that life is a groundless jump? By hitting the ground over and over again, or what you perceive to be that ground, right? And as terrible as it's been, as painful as it's been, any experience that you've gone through in the past that you could have sworn you never would get through, as broken as you feel, there is still something in you that persists, right? That still has hope, that still has love, that still has faith. There's something in you that qualitatively is richer than all of that brokenness. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today, right? You have persevered, you have survived, you have been carried through. So your own presence in the midst of your pain bears witness. It is proof to a presence that transcends your pain, and it has sustained you and will sustain you inexplainably, right? And so this is the practice of handing our lives over to God. And so I just want to leave you with a question, maybe a journal prompt if you want to, or if you want to take this into meditation. God is either everything or God is nothing. God is that ground, but now that ground is there to catch you, right? And what would your life be like if it was jumping out of a plane, knowing that the ground's not going to hurt because you can transcend it, right? What would you do? What would you do when you're jumping out of that plane? Would you be able to embrace the excitement that it is? We can all be okay under all circumstances if we have this deep-seated faith and reliance upon this greater purpose, this greater understanding of life. And so my question to you is, what would you do and how would your life feel if there was no ground to hit? So again, what would you do and how would life feel if there was no ground to hit? So take that into meditation, take that into a journal prompt. My battery's about to die, so that's my cue that this is all that I needed to say right now. But I hope that you experience your groundless jump and you really spend some time thinking about whether God is everything or God is nothing to you. All right, I love you. Goodbye.